Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. Stop making everything about you and the pregnancy. I hear my voice crack and I hate it. I am Alex, 32, and I just swung first. Her eyes fix on me like I pulled a fire alarm. She places a hand on her belly and steadies. Say that again, the words land like a challenge. My mouth goes dry, my chest won't lift right. I grip the counter edge and feel it bite. You hijack every moment, I barely exist here. Her jaw tightens, then her keys scrape the table. Good to know, she says, moving toward the door. Air thins fast. If she leaves now, what follows? I step in front of her and block the handle. She stares at my arm, not my face. Move, Alex, the room tilts a degree. I move too slow because pride glues me. She pulls the door half open, then stops cold. Sharp pinch folds her forward, one hand on me. Breathe, I say, voice flat and useless. It passed, she mutters, but her eyes flash fear. I'm scared, slips out before I can swallow it. Of what exactly, she asks, wiping at sweat. Of vanishing, I say, honest like a bad cut. She lowers the keys but not the guard. Then show up, not like this, not loud. My palms tingle, I want to fix something now. I reach for her bag and set it by her feet. Doctor, tomorrow I'm coming, I say, no wiggle. Her phone buzzes, her sister's name lights the screen. She flips it face down without breaking eye contact. You can come if you listen, she says, measured. I nod once, big promises here crumble fast. Kettle screams from the kitchen, too late. I lunge, kill the heat, and yank it back. Steam rolls my wrist and I hiss through teeth. She watches, waiting to see if I blow again. I pour water out, steady, no slam this time. Talk to me like a teammate, she says. Not like a referee who hates the game. The words hit clean and deserved. My mind claws for a counter and finds none. I want you and I want air, I manage. Make room for both, she says, stepping closer. Can you do that under pressure? Silence, my heart thumps like a timer. I nod once because anything else is cowardice. I will mess up, I warn, eyes holding hers. Then repair fast, she replies, deal on the line. She hands me her appointment card, edges worn. 8:30, don't talk over me, she says. I slide it into my wallet like a contract. The door stays shut, truce thin but alive. I clean the spill, no clatter, no extra noise. She leans against the wall and watches my pace. You meant that first sentence, she says, probing. I meant the fear behind it, I answer, bare truth. Her shoulders drop a notch, not peace, not yet. Sleep in the other room tonight, she orders. Show up tomorrow like a grown man. I take the distance earned because tomorrow decides everything. A jolt from the bedroom snaps me upright on the couch. Sheets rustle, then a strained breath, the kind that hides panic. I stand too fast and the room tilts for a beat. Do not come in yet, her voice is firm, daring me. My phone lights with a message from her sister. Is she alone with you tonight? A blinking question. I type yes, then delete it because it sounds defensive. I write we're okay, then pause on okay. Another sound, short and sharp, cuts through the door. Tell me if you need help, I keep my tone even. No answer, only footfalls crossing and stopping near the frame. Water, the knob twitches once like a warning. I bring a glass and stop at the threshold. Her hand appears, steady now, palm open for the trade. She drinks, then places the glass back on mine. Timer, she whispers and leans against the wall. Contractions, the word lands like a switch flipping on. I open the clock app and lift 3 fingers. Ready, I say, and watch her inhale with intent. We count together 5, 6, 7, then she loosens. Again if it comes back within 10 minutes. She nods once and sits on the edge in silence. I stay outside the doorway with the phone raised. I do not fill the quiet with useless noise. Call the nurse line, she passes me her card. The digits blur for a second, then lock in. I put it on speaker and hold it between us. Describe the pain, the voice instructs without sympathy. Low, tight, no bleeding, she grips the comforter and holds. Hydrate and watch for patterns, the voice replies, measured. Go in if it shortens or intensifies, the voice continues. The line clicks off and leaves us with a choice. New wave hits harder and she bites her lip. I stare at the timer climbing like a dare. 9 minutes, my voice stays low and clipped. She exhales through her nose and nods, barely. Bag, she points to the closet without looking up. I hesitate, did she mean now or soon? Put it by the door and wait, she adds. I do it fast, then return to the hall. Her phone buzzes again with her sister's name. I type we are monitoring and I will drive if needed. 3 dots appear, then vanish, then appear, then nothing. I tuck the phone away and listen for the next wave. It arrives quicker, sharper, no pause at the top. She bends over and reaches for my forearm. Count with me, finger taps press into my skin. We write it down 543, then a shaky breath. 7 minutes, the number burns a path through me. We lock eyes and both know the next move. Shoes, she stands and sways to find balance. I slide one under her heel and hold her steady. The building hallway feels endless, but we keep pace. Neighbor opens a door and freezes at our faces. We are fine, I throw out because we need space. The elevator shudders once and finally opens like a dare. In the car, I force my hands to stay gentle. No music, no chatter, just the root in her breath. Driver rides my bumper and leans on the horn. I ignore it and keep the speed unwavering. She grips the handle and whispers counts to herself. I echo without crowding her rhythm or choices. Focus forward, her palm lands on my shoulder. I lock on the turn that leads to the entrance. Inside triage, a nurse rolls a cuff onto her arm. Any fluid or spotting, the nurse asks with a glance. None, she answers while squeezing my knuckles once. Vitals look stable for now, the nurse replies, scanning. Monitor picks up a fast little thrum in the room. My breath stalls, then releases in a short laugh. She shoots me a look and I clamp it down. We both stare as the pattern steadies like a drum. The nurse asks about frequency and writes quick notes. 7 to 8 minutes, 20 seconds long, sharp at start. She answers while I keep time on the phone. Keep timing here for 30 minutes, the nurse instructs. We wait together and count through the next 4. We stretch again 9, 10, 11 and finally ease. She leans back and closes her eyes for a beat. I do not speak because relief can jinx everything. Resident appears and checks the printout, eyes focused. Looks like false labor tonight, the resident offers carefully. Hydrate, rest, come back for bleeding or shorter intervals. We nod in sync, orders received, stakes still real. Discharge papers arrive with clear lines and bolder warnings. I fold them once and slide them into my pocket. No promises out loud, just a plan we can execute. Tomorrow's appointment still stands, she reminds, watching me. Back in the car, the night feels thinner and brittle. She reclines the seat and reaches for my hand. Quiet ride, she says and closes her eyes. I drive steady and count the streetlights like checkpoints. At home, she waves me toward the couch again. Sleep out there and keep the phone loud. I plug it in and set 3 alarms for dawn. My eyes stay open because the next call could come. The alarm fails and her appointment is in 20 minutes. I yank on jeans while she waits at the door. Keys, she holds out her hand without blinking. We move, no breakfast, no chatter, just the clock hunting us. I hit the elevator button 3 times like that helps. Breathe, she warns, standing straight and balanced. I am breathing, I answer, fighting the urge to sprint. The doors open like they might close on us. Traffic crawls and my phone vibrates with her sister's name. I flip it face down on the console and keep pacing lanes. Good, she murmurs, eyes on the route and nothing else. We share a silence that feels earned and fragile. I check and the clerk asks for symptoms and timing. I step forward, then stop myself and glance at her. She answers crisp and calm, hands resting on the counter. The clerk types fast and waves us toward intake. The nurse rolls a cuff up and watches the screen. Headaches today, the nurse asks, pen ready for numbers. Light 1 earlier, she replies while pressing her lips together. Let me add something, I ask, lifting a finger. She gives a small nod that grants me the floor. She had cramping last night and triage cleared it. The nurse writes it down without looking at me again. Doctor will review and examine, the nurse concludes, gate closed. We get the small room in the long pause. I stand near the chair and keep my hands still. Remember your promise, she says, eyes holding mine. I will not talk over you, I answer straight. The doctor steps in with a quick greeting and gloves. What worries you today, she asks, scanning the chart. My pulse jumps fast when pain hits, my wife answers. Show me where the tightness starts, the doctor directs. Gel Doppler, a searching sweep that slows the world. Nothing for a heartbeat, then a firm, rapid thudding. I blink hard and keep my mouth shut on reflex. Strong rhythm, the doctor notes, adjusting the angle once. Your pressure is flirting with the upper range. The doctor turns the screen toward us and explains measurements. We will draw labs and book an extra check. I watch my wife's jaw flex as she weighs that. What can we control at home? I ask carefully. Fluids, salt awareness, fewer stressful fights, the doctor replies. I nod and my wife Lou gaze at me like a test. I can do that and keep it quiet, I say. Her phone buzzes again and she ignores it. Loop my sister in after we know more, she decides. Deal, I open notes and write the plan in bullets. Read it back, she orders, eyes narrowing for errors. Hydrate, track headaches, call if swelling or flashing dots. Rest on your side, labs today, repeat pressure Thursday. She listens, then tips her head in approval. The doctor smiles once and prints the lab slip. The nurse returns with vials and a neat tray. Left arm or right? She asks, tapping for a vein. Left is easier, my wife answers, rolling her sleeve. I stand where she can see me if she wants. The draw finishes and the nurse labels without fuss. Results by evening if the system cooperates, she mentions. We accept that uncertainty because arguing never speeds science. Any questions before I release you, she adds. Birth class sign up, I ask with both hands visible. Friday night, she replies, handing over a small flyer. I slip it into my wallet next to the appointment slip. My wife watches that move like a referee. Elevator down and the world feels loud again. Updates stay between us until numbers land, she says. Agreed, I send her sister a short message with timing. No extras, no drama, just the plan we will follow. My manager calls as we reach the parking level. Where are you? He asks, anxious and clipped. Clinic, I answer, keeping my tone even and brief. I will miss noon, I am not available. I hang up and wait for the backlash that usually comes. Silence, then a text back, handle it tomorrow morning. I exhale and unlock the car without another word. She studies me like she does not trust this calm yet. Therapy one session before the next visit, she proposes. Couples or solo, I ask, fingers resting on the wheel. Both, I want a neutral room and rules. Book it, I reply, feeling the ground tilt toward work. She hands me a sheet with red flags boxed in bold. Memorize these tonight, she says, tapping the list twice. I read each line out loud to prove it stuck. Her shoulders loosen an inch and the day holds. On the drive home she dozes and I guard the lane. I answer one ping from her sister with 4 words. Appointment done, labs pending, we're fine. No emojis, no fluff, boundaries stay firm under pressure. At a light she stirs and squeezes my forearm once. Food nap, no debates until results, she instructs quietly. Done, I say and pull into our usual spot. My screen lights again and this time I let it ring. The phone rattles across the table and flashes an unknown number. I answer on speaker and hear a clipped introduction from the lab. Your results show elevated protein and rising pressure. Come back today for monitoring. The line dies before I can blink. She walks in mid-call and reads my face like a chart. Bad, her hand is steady on the chair back. Borderline, they want us in before lunch. She nods once and reaches for sneakers without another word. Her sister pings 3 times while I grab the bag. Not now, I whisper, shoving the phone into my pocket. Message her with facts only, my wife instructs, tightening laces. I type the time and nothing else and hit send. The elevator hesitates and my chest pounds like a metronome. Stairs, she says, already moving with short, careful steps. I stay half a stride behind and keep my mouth shut. We reach the lobby breathing hard but controlled, go time. Traffic stacks at the first light and I choose a side street. She watches the clock and counts softly under her breath. I match her cadence without trying to lead it. We hit the turn and the route finally opens up. Clerk at admissions asks for symptoms and frequency. I keep my hands still and look to my wife. She answers with compact detail and zero fluff. We're wristbanded and rooted to observation with a nod. Cuff inflates and the machine spits out ugly numbers. Let's repeat after 10 minutes, the nurse suggests, adjusting angles. My wife squeezes the rail once and stares straight ahead. I fix my focus on the monitor and wait. Her sister appears in the doorway with a taut smile. I told you to call me first, arms fold like a verdict. Updates come after the doctor, my wife says, eyes unmoving. I step closer to the bed and make myself useful. Another reading prints worse than the last one. The nurse frowns and asks about headaches or flashing dots. None right now, my wife answers, jaw rigid for balance. I push water toward her hand and she takes it. A resident strides in and speaks too quickly. Numbers are concerning but not dangerous yet. We will draw blood and start a longer window. My wife nods and then glances at me for backup. Can we discuss thresholds for induction if needed? I ask. The resident pauses and recalibrates their pace. We have criteria and a decision tree we follow. Let's walk through it, I add key. Upping my tone level. We review markers and timelines in short, clear beats. I repeat the plan back in my own words. My wife watches me like she's measuring follow-through. Her sister steps back a foot and stops talking. Cuff reading finally dips a notch and holds. Relief tries to rush in and I block it. 2 more stable results before we relax, my wife warns. I nod and set a timer quietly out of habit. Tech struggles with the blood draw and apologizes. My wife winces and stares at the ceiling tile. Use the smaller needle, I suggest, meeting the tech's eyes. They switch gear and the vial fills cleanly on the next try. The resident returns with draft orders for magnesium if needed. Not starting it now, they clarify, pen hovering for edits. My wife studies the page and taps one line. Side effects, her voice is crisp and unafraid. Heat, nausea, heaviness, the resident keeps it clinical. Partner can fan and keep ice on standby. I can do all of that, I answer without delay. Her sister watches me like she's seeing a new person. Pressure dips again and the room loosens by a thread. The nurse smiles and whispers, keep it boring. We all breathe for 3 beats and wait for the next printout. The machine starts another cycle and my pulse climbs. Contraction monitor chirps once and then settles. All start, no wave follows, no urgent shuffle. My wife closes her eyes and releases her shoulders. I grip the chair back to stop my leg from bouncing. Her sister steps close and lowers her voice. You heard her last week with that line. I nod and keep my gaze on the numbers. I'm repairing, watch me instead of replaying it. She doesn't answer, but she doesn't argue either. The next pressure reading lands in the safer zone. The nurse logs it and raises an eyebrow at us. 2 more like that and you go home, she says. The resident circles back with lab fragments and cautions. Liver looks fine, platelets normal, protein borderline. Return tomorrow for another check, call for symptoms. We accept the script and prepare for discharge. At the curb, her sister hovers like she'll follow us. Let us handle tonight, my wife tells her, voice firm. I'll text you after dinner with numbers. The message lands and sticks, boundary held. On the drive, I keep conversation tactical and short. She nods while reading the discharge sheet again. We need a plan for work calls and interruptions. I'll set do not disturb and answer nothing urgent. Back home, she points to the couch and the water bottle. Timer every 4 hours for pressure checks. Write down readings and what you ate. I grab a notebook and start logging like it's my job. Evening settles and the lab portal pings with final numbers. All within range except protein brushing the line. Watchful waiting, she says, scanning the chart twice. I set the alarms and keep my shoes by the door just in case. The door clicks and a stranger points to 2 chairs. Phones off, speak in turns, no crossfire, her eyes hold. My thumb hovers over airplane mode, then I commit. Across from me, my wife crosses her arms like armor. Start where it hurts most, the therapist leans back, waiting. I told her she makes everything about pregnancy, my jaw tightens. I use that line like a weapon, heat crawls up. My wife stares at my mouth like she expects retreat. Name the need, not the complaint, the therapist taps a pad. I need partnership, I say, hands open on my knees. I need safety, my wife answers, chin lifted like a flag. We both breathe, bracing for the first collision. Pick one recent moment, the therapist folds her hands. Urgent care, my wife says, gaze grazing my face once. You were useful, then you tried to manage me. I nod because the sting fits exactly. Translate it, the therapist slides a box of tissues closer. I wanted control because I felt invisible, I say. I want attention without stealing yours, I add slowly. My wife studies me like a puzzle she might keep. Do you believe him? The therapist looks only at her. I believe he wants to learn, my wife replies. I do not believe he knows how under stress. The verdict lands soft, but it lands. Practice, the therapist sets a timer on the table. 1 minute each, no interruptions, repeats aloud. My wife goes first, palms pressed together like prayer. I need you calm when the numbers climb. I listen and repeat it back word for word. I will stay calm when the numbers climb. Add a behavior, the therapist prompts, watching my face. I will ask what you want before I act. Switch, the timer beeps and resets without mercy. I need reminders that I matter outside fatherhood, I say. Not grand gestures, just daily proof I'm not a utility. My voice wavers, then steadies on the last word. She repeats it back with no sarcasm. You need reminders that you matter outside fatherhood. I can give daily proof that you are a partner. My chest loosens, then tightens when the timer buzzes again. The therapist stands and changes the room's shape. Now do conflict, standing up, she instructs, dead serious. Bodies escalate, we counter with posture and breath. We face each other like sparring partners before a bell. Say something provocative, the therapist tells my wife. You only care when people watch, she fires, eyes narrow. My shoulders jump, then I ground my feet and exhale. I want credit, but I care even when unseen. Again, the therapist's hand slices the air like a metronome. You make rest sound lazy, my wife throws, knuckles white. I value rest because it protects both of you, I answer. The therapist nods once, clean contact without blood. Change locations fast, keep the tone. We move to the corner where there's less space. Say no with respect, the therapist instructs, voice neutral. No induction talk at dinner, my wife states, eyes steady. Yes, and we schedule time for it tomorrow, I reply. My pulse races, but the words stay organized. The timer chirps and the therapist finally smiles. You two can fight without wreckage. Knock cuts the moment in half. Her sister stands in the doorway, cheeks flushed with worry. Group text blew up, are we okay? My wife glances at the therapist, then at me. Answer together, the therapist suggests, folding her arms. We are in session, my wife says, not moving. Boundaries first, updates later, I add, voice even. Her sister blinks, then nods and closes the door. Homework, the therapist says, writing in big block letters. Create a crisis script with roles and exact steps. 1 page, you both carry it, her pen doesn't pause. Bring it to the next hour. We draft it right there while adrenaline hums. She lists symptoms and when to call. I list tasks I handle without commentary. We add a final line, repair within 20 minutes. The therapist circles that line twice with a blue pen. Repair means apology plus action, she clarifies. Not flowers, not jokes, action that restores trust. I nod, committing to something that scares me. Session ends and my phone vibrates immediately. Work wants a status report before noon. I type unavailable due to medical appointment. My thumb hovers, then I hit send with both eyes open. We step into the hallway and run into her sister. Talk to me, she says, softer now than before. My wife looks at me, then back at her. Kitchen, 10 minutes, we will brief you. At home, we lay out the crisis script on the table. Her sister reads each line like it might explode. What's my role, she asks, glancing between us. Driver if I'm counting, point person if he's calling. She nods like she finally has something useful. I can run interference with the family, she offers. No play-by-play, just verified updates, my wife says. Her sister agrees and puts the paper in her bag. A notification from the clinic interrupts our truce. Another pressure check requested for this afternoon. Hydrate, rest now, we go in at 3. She tilts her head toward the bedroom and waits. I set timers and fill the bottle like we planned. Wake me in 40 minutes unless something changes. She settles under the blanket and closes her eyes. I sit in the doorway and watch for the slightest shift. Work calls twice and I let both ring out. My fingers itch to rescue my inbox. I stare at the crisis script until the urge passes. Focus returns like a muscle we just found. Her breathing evens and I run through the drill. Car keys near the door, insurance card in my wallet. Notebook open to the log with fresh lines ready. I count down 5 minutes and listen hard. She wakes on her own and checks the time. Water, she whispers, rolling to her side. I hand it over and wait for her face to change. She drinks and gives me a small nod, keep going. The meter at the clinic prints 3 stable numbers. The nurse smiles once like we earned that win. Home again, same plan, call for symptoms, she says. We leave without fanfare and guard the silence. Back home, my phone lights again with the same request. Boss asking for tomorrow morning's availability. I write available after 10, family priority before that. No apology, no extra fluff, just a clear line. My wife opens the fridge and points like a coach. Eat now, then you clean the bathroom. Copy, I answer, already moving toward the cabinet. She watches my pace and finally softens around the eyes. Her sister texts from the hallway with a final prod. How did therapy go? I type 4 words and nothing else. Structured, hard, productive, boundaries. We finish our list and sit across from each other. Do you still resent the attention this requires, she asks. I breathe once and hold the answer steady. I resent my fear, not your needs. She studies me, then picks up the crisis script again. Put this in your wallet behind your license. I slide it in and press the leather shut. She watches my hands and nods, approval earned for now. A ping from the class registration site pops up. I sign us up for Friday without grand announcements. Confirmation lands in my inbox with a clean subject line. I forward it to her with 1 word, locked. She raises an eyebrow and smirks for a second. Repair in 20 minutes, she reminds, tapping the rule. You snapped at the elevator earlier. You're right, I did, here's the action. I take her shoes and start rubbing her arches slowly. She inhales and lets her shoulders fall. Better, she murmurs, eyes closing for a beat. Keep that page in your pocket, she adds, not joking. Night edges closer and alarms tick in the background. We reset the timers and tidy the meds on the counter. I shred the old discharge copy and keep the new one. Nothing fancy, just a system that holds underweight. She locks her phone and looks straight at me. Tomorrow, I want you in front of the nurse. Speak first to advocate, then ask me to confirm. I can do that, I answer, feeling the ground firm up. We kill the lights and stand in the doorway together. Not quite peace, not war either, something workable. Wake me if anything changes, I tell her quietly. I will, she promises, and we both listen to the silence, waiting. The cuff tightens and spits out an ugly reading. Again, she orders, jaw set like a lock. I hit start and watch the seconds crawl, too slow. We both stare until the number lands higher. Shoes on, we are going now. I grab the folder and slip the plan behind my license. Her sister texts, do you need me, in all caps. I type stand by near phone and kill the thread. At intake, the clerk asks for the reason today. I step forward before my nerves talk for me. Rising pressure this morning with mild headache, I say clean. My wife nods once and keeps her eyes on me. Nurse appears with a cart and a neutral smile. Any vision changes, she asks while wheeling us inside. None, my wife answers, shoulders squared like a captain. Head pain 3 out of 10, I add, watching approval. We reach observation and the routine starts without chatter. Cuff pulls, a tape sensor catching rhythm and bursts. The printer hums and I fight the urge to guess. Let them read it, she whispers, squeezing my wrist. A resident sweeps the curtain back and checks the strip. Mixed, some spikes, we can extend monitoring, they propose. Define extend, I ask, careful not to crowd her. 2 hours, if stable we send you home. Before we start rolls, my wife says, palm lifted. I answer first, he confirms, no extras. The resident nods and looks between us for friction. Works for me if it works for you. The next 30 minutes drag like a weighted run. I do the quiet jobs and keep my mouth shut. Ice chips timer, writing down each set in order. Her breathing slows while the numbers settle a little. Nurse swaps cuffs and tries the other arm. Better curve here, she murmurs, checking fit and alignment. My wife exhales and doesn't look at me yet. I wait for the next outcome like a held note. Her phone buzzes on the tray and threatens chaos. I flip it face down and show her the screen. Later, she says, and the word feels like rope. We both grip it and stay tethered to the plan. The resident returns with an attending and a clipped greeting. Options if pressure rebounds, the attending begins, eyes steady. Magnesium and possible early delivery if organs protest. Thresholds are X, Y, and symptoms, the attending continues. Can we pre-authorize steps to avoid delays, I ask. The attending glances at my wife before answering. If she agrees now, we can chart preferences. I agree with the plan you just described. We sign a short consent with boxes and initials. No drama, no speeches, just a clear path. Her sister texts 6 times while the pen dries. I silence the thread and slide the phone away. Aide brings a light snack and registers my stare. You eat too, my wife says, lifting a brow. I take a bite and it sits like gravel. I chew anyway because fainting helps nobody. The printer spits another series and the nurse smiles. Trending down, she says, almost cheerful. The attending checks the log and scratches a note. Home with strict parameters, back tomorrow early. In the hallway, a volunteer blocks our exit with forms. Birth class attendance confirmed for tonight, she chirps. We both halt and trade a quick look. Still planning to go, my wife decides, testing me. Only if you're up for it, I answer steady. She studies my face like she's checking for theater. I want the drills, she says, grabbing my elbow. Then we go and we practice hard. Evening, mats on the floor in couples in a row. The instructor claps once and the noise settles. Partners count through waves and maintain eye contact. Be the anchor, not the storm, she adds. We try the first drill and my count stutters. My wife taps my forearm twice in warning. I reset and lower my voice to a steady beat. Her shoulders drop and the instructor nods, keep that. Scenario 3, the instructor calls from the front. Provider rushes, you slow the room with questions. She walks over and plays impatient. Doctor with a clipboard. Why are we doing this intervention right now? I step into the space before panic grows. What problem are we solving? I ask, hands visible. What are the risks of waiting 5 minutes? What does my partner prefer after hearing both options? The instructor breaks character and points at us. Exactly this, specific and calm. She hands me a laminated checklist like a trophy. My wife smirks and bumps my shoulder once. During a positioning drill, her face tightens fast. Not practice, a real cramp grabs without warning. We shift her to her side and I start counting. She breathes through it while I keep time. The wave fades and her breath evens again. She looks at the clock and then at me. Note it, she says, voice thin but steady. I write the time and duration with a shaking hand. Class ends and the instructor pulls us aside gently. Your technique works, don't chase every twitch, she advises. Call if intervals shorten or pain changes character. We thank her and head for the car without chatter. Halfway home, a driver cuts us off and brakes hard. I grip the wheel and swallow the blast forming. Stay with me, my wife says, eyes locked on mine. I release my jaw and match her breath beat by beat. Back inside, her sister sits on the steps with worry. Any news? She asks in a forced whisper. Stable today, class done, we monitor tonight, my wife answers. Her sister nods, then looks at me like a test I might pass. Who holds the line if family floods the chat? She asks. I do, I answer, already opening the group thread. One message at 9, one at noon tomorrow. Emergencies only outside that window. My wife approves with a quick flick of her eyes. We move through our checklist like a well-drilled crew. Water by the bed, bag by the door, log updated. Alarms set in pairs because single points fail. An hour later she winces and grabs my sleeve. Not terrible, different, her breath shortens in steps. We time it and the clock lands on 8 minutes. Again and we call, I say, trying to sound unshaken. It hits at 9 and then 12 and then nothing. She relaxes and rolls to her other side. Wake me if your chest feels tight, I whisper. She nods and closes her eyes without letting go. My phone lights with my boss asking for early hours. I type need late morning, medical check at 8. He replies okay and leaves it there. I stare at the screen like it might bite again. A final ping from the clinic portal pops up. Reminder for additional labs tomorrow with pressure recheck. I confirm and screenshot the appointment like proof. The plan feels thin, but it's a plan. I sit in the doorway and watch her breathing pattern. Not creepy, not hovering, ready if it shifts. I practice the questions under my breath until they stick. What problem are we solving? What does she want first? Around midnight, she whispers my name like a rope. Bathroom, help me up slow. We move together and test her legs carefully. No rush, no jokes, just presence. Back in bed, she tucks her feet under my calf. I'm scared of the next call, she says barely. I am here for all of them, I answer. She exhales and I feel her fingers loosen for now. Gush hits the floor and she grabs my wrist. Now she breathes, teeth clenched against a rising wave. I check the time and slam our plan into motion. Calling labor and delivery, I say as we move fast. The nurse answers and asks for 3 facts in order. Fluid clear, headache low, movements present, I keep it tight. Come in, bring your chart, the voice replies, all business. We're out the door before doubt can form. I drive steady while she times with 2 fingers. 6 minutes, she murmurs, bracing through the peak. You want silence or counts? I ask, eyes forward. Counts, she says, and I match her breath to mine. Triage gloves on, a midwife checks her quickly. Blood pressure elevated, amniotic fluid confirmed. Labs now, we may need medication protection, she adds. I squeeze my hands once and keep questions ready. Criteria for that medication, I ask without rushing her. Prevent seizures, side effects heavy but manageable. If indicated, we'll start soon, she explains, measuring calmly. My wife nods and watches me for wobble. Monitor suddenly dips and the room tightens. Roll to your side, the midwife directs, moving cords. I lift her hip and slide a pillow beneath. The heartbeat recovers and my lungs start working again. The attending steps in with a firm assessment. Preeclampsia range, we recommend magnesium and induction. She looks at us, waiting for resistance or fear. We want safety first, my wife answers, jaw unclenched. Discuss methods, I ask, palms open to show pace. Cervical ripening, then a light infusion to start contractions. We reassess with each hour, the attending says. Consent if you agree, she finishes, pen poised. My wife presses her thumb and T on the pad, no hesitation. I initial next to the plan we already rehearsed. Partner roll, the nurse reminds, eyes flicking to me. Ice fan advocate, track timing, keep the room slow. The infusion starts and heat climbs into her face. I feel heavy, she whispers, blinking hard. I fan gently and press a cool pack to her neck. Stay with me, I tell her, steady and close. Her sister appears in the doorway with wild concern. Updates later, my wife says, palm raised like a stop sign. Wait in the lounge and guard the family thread. Her sister nods and backs out without another word. Contraction lands huge and bends her in half. I ground my feet and count low into her ear. Eyes on me, I say, keeping rhythm unbroken. She locks in and rides it down to 0. The midwife checks progress and gives a tight number. 2 centimeters, long way to go. Position change every 30 minutes, she advises. I set a timer and lock the bedside rails. My phone buzzes from work asking for an update. I type unavailable for the day, medical emergency. No apologies, no fluff, just a boundary. I flip the device off and return to her face. Another surge rolls in and she grips my arm. I count then falter as panic tries to climb. Repair, I remind myself and start again immediately. Her eyes soften and the wave breaks clean. The attending returns with lab results and a caution. Protein increasing, platelets fine, liver okay. We continue the induction and watch closely. I repeat the plan back until she nods. We rotate to hands and knees with the peanut ball. Pressure eases there, she gasps, breath punching out. Hold it for 3 cycles, the nurse suggests. I keep the timer and guard the cords. Heat spikes and nausea follows fast and mean. I flag the nurse and ask for anti-nausea meds. A small syringe, a wipe, a practice push. Her forehead loosens and she whispers thanks. Her sister texts from the lounge about visitors arriving. Not today, my wife dictates, eyes closed but clear. I send one sentence to the group chat. Parents, please hold medical focus, next notice at noon. The monitor shows a long contraction with a late dip. The team moves without panic and raises her fluids. Mask, someone says, handing me oxygen to place. I settle it gently and keep my voice calm. The dip resolves and the room exhales as one. I don't celebrate, I reset the clock and reposition her. Left side again with pillows, I guide breath even. She nods and follows the cue without complaint. Internal monitor may help if this repeats, the midwife offers. We look to the attending, then back to each other. What problem does it solve right now, I ask. Accuracy during movement, the attending answers straightforward. Okay if it helps decisions, my wife agrees, eyes open. They place it quickly and the tracing sharpens. We all watch the line settle into a steady pattern. I release my jaw and keep one hand on her shoulder. Resident arrives with the next step outlined. Low-dose infusion to encourage stronger progress. We will assess in 90 minutes, she adds. Confirm pain plan preference, she finishes, pen hovering. My wife swallows and meets my gaze head-on. I want to try without an epidural right now. Revisit if fatigue ruins my focus, she adds, certain. I nod and repeat her exact words for the chart. The medicine starts and the clock becomes a drum. Contractions tighten in closer pairs, then spread again. We breathe through 6 and then 7 before a pause. You're doing it, I tell her, anchoring the pace. Tech offers to move us to a larger room. Only if monitors remain stable during transfer, I answer. The attending confirms and gives a quick yes. We roll as a unit and nothing glitches. Her sister peeks again and lifts a thumb. I point to the lounge and mouth later. She backs away and takes the hint without pouting. We protect the space like a barricade. Another heavy wave, another count, another reset. She bites her lip and I touch her cheek once. Water, she breathes and I hold the straw steady. She sips, then closes her eyes for 3 beats. The attending checks again and gives a new number. 4, thinning nicely, keep rotating positions. Good progress, the nurse adds with careful optimism. My wife exhales and whispers, let's keep moving. We switch to sitting upright with knees wide. She bears down against the next surge unintentionally. Don't push yet, the midwife coaches, fingers poised. Breathe around it, short breaths, I echo, matching. Her phone lights with the family chat exploding. I turn it over and slide it into the drawer. Our boundary stands, I remind her, meeting her eyes. She nods and squeezes my hand hard. The infusion ticks up by a fraction on the pump. The resident explains the change and waits for consent. Okay, my wife says, voice flat but determined. I jot the time and the new rate in the log. The end. X contraction hits and she growls through it. I count slow and never look at the clock. Eyes on me, I say, almost whispering now. She pins me with a stare and rides it out. A late deceleration reappears and lingers too long. Position change now, the attending orders, crisp and composed. We flip her to the other side and raise a leg. The line improves while everyone holds perfectly still. Good save, the nurse murmurs, adjusting the belt. Keep doing exactly that, the attending adds, approving. I nod once and tuck the blanket around her arm. Her fingers find mine and don't let go. The anesthesiologist stops by to offer options again. Room is ready if needed, press the button. We look at each other and wait 1 beat. Not yet, she decides, voice clear through the fatigue. The clock crawls to the reassessment mark at last. The attending checks and gives us the new state. 6 and stretchy, we are getting there. A wife lowers her head and breathes like a runner. She whispers something that lands between plea and order. Don't vanish when it gets loud. I won't, I answer, planting my feet at the bed. The monitor hums and the pump ticks, next wave coming. The next surge slams hard and her legs tremble. The monitor dips again and the team freezes. Hands and knees now, the midwife instructs, voice tight. I lift the rail and support her hips move fast. The tracing recovers and a collective breath leaks out. I do not celebrate because the clock keeps hunting us. Check again, the attending says, snapping on new gloves. 7 with swelling, we are advancing, she announces, careful. Heat swamps her and nausea edges back in. I press the cool pack against her temple and wait. Small sips, the nurse warns, handing me the cup. She drinks and nods once, hold the line. Another contraction crashes and her low sound rattles me. I anchor my stance and count without looking away. Slow breaths in through your nose, the midwife cues. I echo the pattern close to her ear, no rush. The pump ticks and the resident adjusts the rate. Tiny increase, they confirm, eyes on the screen. Consent, the attending reminds, pausing for our answer. Proceed, my wife replies, squeezing my hand like a clamp. Sudden pressure changes her face completely. Different, she murmurs, scanning the room for answers. The midwife checks and then glances at the attending. 8 and moving fast, the attending says, focused. Her sister leans into the doorway with a question. I raise a palm and point to the clock. No visitors until numbers give us space, I tell her. She backs away and texts the group that we are busy. The next contraction stacks on the previous one. She grunts and her feet push hard against the mattress. Let your jaw loosen, I coach, keeping it gentle. She listens and the sound shifts to something deeper. A sudden alarm chirps and the midwife moves. Turn to your other side now, she commands. I help rotate her while the nurse lifts cords. The tracing steadies and the room stays locked in. The attending reevaluates with a short nod. 9, we are close, prepare to push soon. She meets my eyes with a clear instruction. Stay right here and do not vanish. Practice bearing down with the next wave, the midwife says. Focus below, long exhale, back rounded. My wife braces and follows the cue. The effort shakes her and leaves a mark on my arm. We reposition with her legs supported. Only during the peak, the midwife reminds, hands ready. The surge hits and she bears down with furious control. Good power, the attending says, already setting up. I count only when she asks for it. Between pushes, I press the cool pack and whisper updates. Heart tone steady and strong on the screen. I watch her overcome the fear I helped grow once. Crowning soon, the attending says, eyes never leaving the field. Short breaths now, wait for my cue to push. My wife pants and clutches the rail. I grip her shoulder and keep my voice calm. The nurse calls out a deceleration that lingers. Change angle, the midwife instructs, guiding a shift. We adjust her hips and lift her leg higher. The tone recovers and I feel my lungs restart. Here we go, the attending announces, one eyebrow raised. My wife bears down with everything she has left. Pause, gentle breaths, the midwife coaches with quiet authority. I watch the crown appear and time slows dangerously. Push now, the attending directs, hands steady and precise. She drives like a sprinter at the tape. The room narrows to breath and pressure and effort. Head out, someone says, and the monitor hums on. Shoulders next, the attending warns, changing hand position. Do not push until I ask. We wait through the longest seconds of my life. Push, she calls, and my wife answers with a roar. Slippery weight slides into the world all at once. Silence, then a sharp cry that fills the space. I feel my knees try to drop and lock them. Look, the nurse whispers, nudging my shoulder hard. They bring the small body to her chest immediately. Towel hat checks, then another wail. My wife's face cracks open with relief and terror. I lean in and kiss her hair, no words. Delivery of the placenta next, the attending reminds us. Gentle pressure, small push. She follows directions while the baby calms against her. I keep one hand on both of them like a bridge. Midwife assesses a small tear and prepares supplies. Local numbing, she says, waiting for agreement. Okay, my wife answers, breathing slower now. I hold her hand and keep my eyes on her eyes. Her sister cries in the hallway and tries the handle. The nurse blocks it with a smooth practice move. 5 minutes, I call, not looking away from my family. Footsteps retreat and quiet returns like a gift. The monitor continues to track stable numbers. The nurse checks my wife's pressure and nods once. Improving with delivery, she reports for the chart. I release a breath I didn't know I was holding. The attending finishes repairs and gives us our status. Minimal bleeding, vitals stable, baby vigorous. Magnesium continues for a bit, she adds. We will watch for headaches and other changes. The baby roots and finds what he needs. My wife winces, then relaxes with a startled laugh. I stare like I am seeing gravity for the first time. She leans her head against my arm and closes her eyes. Her sister peeks again with swollen eyes. 2 photos only, my wife says, lifting a finger. No posts, no names, just the moment. Her sister nods and takes 2 careful frames, then leaves. I clean my hands and take the baby carefully. He is warm and loud and impossibly small. I do not narrate feelings, I check his fingers. He flails and clamps my knuckle like a tiny vice. Say the real thing, my wife murmurs, eyes half shut. I swallow hard and face my own first line. I made you carry my fear and called it honesty. I won't repeat that, I will do the work. She watches me like a lie detector for hire. Prove it tomorrow when the nurses are gone. I will sleep in this chair and track every metric. I will also ask what you need before I move. The attending returns with discharge possibilities. 2 days if all remains quiet, she explains. Blood draws in 6 hours to monitor levels. I confirm times and alarms while never leaving reach. My phone buzzes with the family thread exploding again. I write one line and nothing more. Healthy, resting, no visits tonight. I mute the chat and slip the phone away. Pediatric nurse lifts the baby for quick checks. We will bring him back in 20 minutes, she says. My wife nods, but her hand searches for mine. I lace our fingers and keep them there like a pledge. Her pressure cuff inflates again and shows a decent number. The nurse smiles and marks it down with a flourish. Keep fluids up, call if you see stars, she reminds. I repeat the warning softly so it sticks. When the baby returns, he snorts and puffs indignantly. I laugh once and hand him to her chest. She settles him and breathes like a person again. I lower the shade and make a rectangle of quiet. Tell me one thing you need in the morning. She thinks and taps my wrist twice for emphasis. Shower without advice, breakfast within reach. Done, I say and set 2 alarms to back it. I stare at the small rise and fall beside her. My chest aches with something that feels like duty and joy. I remember the first words I threw in our kitchen. I replace them with better ones I can live inside. Nurse checks the line and repositions the pump. Any spinning or heavy chest, she asks, attentive. Just tired, my wife answers, squeezing my fingers once. We get a nod and a promise to return soon. I sit back and let my eyes close for seconds. The baby snuffles and I open them fast. My wife smiles without moving anything else. Stay here, she whispers, and I do without flinching. Night folds in and the room settles into rhythms. I write the numbers in the log with careful strokes. No flourishes, no commentary, just data we can use. I place the pen down and touch both of them, gently. Do you still want air? She asks, barely above silence. Yes, I admit, because truth holds us tighter than charm. I want it with you in the room. She nods and the baby hiccups like a tiny drumbeat. I lean forward and kiss her knuckles. Tomorrow I call the nurse first and ask your preference. I handle the list without making speeches. I show up and I keep showing up in full stop.